Positively Tampa Bay today, it's a great story of friends taking care of friends. Close to 24 of the area's best jazz musicians will perform this Sunday at the Palladium in St. Pete. This is the woman who's inspired them to pull this very big event together in a very short amount of time. She is the very talented jazz artist Rose Bilal. Last May, Rose suffered a stroke, and her hospital and medical bills are $250,000 and climbing. Her family of fellow jazz artists are coming to her rescue, and they are hoping that jazz fans in the Tampa Bay area will come to help her as well. Joining us in the studio with more, we want to welcome Mr. Bob Seymour of WUSF 89.7 FM and Fran Powers of Power Stories Theater. Thank you so much for coming in.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks.
Rose is such an amazing person, not just for her beautiful voice, but for her big heart. How did you all get everybody's schedules in such a short amount of time to come together and make this concert happen on Sunday?
Well, it really speaks for the music community, the jazz community in this town, and I guess everywhere, that they help their own, and they are such big-hearted, giving people. And Rose is so loved in our community. So this is really going to be quite a celebration of her and how much people love Rose. And for anybody who is curious about the jazz community in town, this is quite a smorgasbord of the best artists in town, too.
Give us some of the names that are coming. I know initially it was like 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, grew, 14. Yeah. How many at this point? At
least 25 musicians, 30, something like that. And of all kinds of artists who've collaborated with Rose over the years, including John Lamb, the great bass player, former Duke Ellington bass player who has worked with Rose a great deal. Kenny Drew Jr., one of the great piano players in the world, lives in our area. He'll be there. And Mark Neuenschwander, who was a bassist, the first artist Rose credits in her book with inviting her into the jazz scene in the Bay Area when she was new in town. Her background had really been in more rhythm and blues and that kind of thing before coming to Florida.
How did the idea
Lots of the
come
best
about?
Singers in town, too. We'll get into that. After Rose had a stroke, a lot of her friends, I'm sure, had the same conversation. Somebody should help out. I actually mentioned to my wife early in the summer, well, you ought to put something together. And my wife had been a guidance counselor who had Rose in to work with the girls in her school a couple of times, and were dear friends. And she drew in a couple of her friends. Cynthia Palmer, who was a vocalist who was on the bill, played a big role, and Betty Gregg, who is the past president of the Al Downing Jazz Association. Correct. The three of them, and with help from the Palladium, who've been wonderful and a real focal point for the jazz scene, it all just came together. And of course the artists, everybody just said, yes, how can I help?
Fran, you are a wonderful example of how an organization has benefited from Rose's talent. Absolutely. Tell our viewers about what she's done with the Girl Stories.
Rose has done so much for the women and the girls. I first met Rose 12 years ago. She was one of our very first performers in a Power Stories production called Let the Stories Move You. And since we always tell true stories, Rose told her true story on stage, and she told the story of the very first time she sang professionally. And she was on stage. It felt like the stage was as big as a football field. She opened her mouth, nothing came out, and she was scared to death. But then she finally relaxed, and she sang, and boy, did she sing beautifully. And so she tells that story and a lot of other stories that are very important to her, and she tells them to young girls. She's worked with us with a lot of young girls through a lot of different agencies, helping them to see that they have the power within them to lead the life that they really want to lead, to be positive. She's a dear friend.
I'm sure that many of the girls will be there as well. This is not something for an age-specific group.
Absolutely, no. We're working very hard. My role is to get people there.
And that's our role, too.
That's right.
So let's give the information on your screen. Here it is. It's For the Love of Rose. That's the name of this beautiful concert that happens this Sunday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Palladium in St. Pete. For more information about Rose, if you'd like to hear her beautiful voice, you can go to her website at rosebilal.com. Again, folks, this is an amazing concert. You could not pay enough money to see all of these musicians and artists in the same place one day. So be there, August the 11th. We'll see you there.